Ooh, I hit the button, so I think we're live.
Oh, okay.
Hey, everyone. It's this
Excellent.
guy. I think we're live. I'm just going to wait for Kent to confirm that everything is going through.
I see you.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, great. We are live. Thanks, everyone, for turning up to this live stream. We're launching the Demystifying Lip Sync. And thank you to everyone who's actually partaken in the past animation courses, because it's been great to actually see you guys enhance your skills. And yeah, I'm the guy who's been typing those little things and trying to make you better, just pushing you to the next level, whatever level that you're at. So we've got a couple of things going on today. We are going to first of all talk about the new course, which is launched this morning, I think, while I was sleeping. It went live. I know that because I woke up to about 7,000 emails and questions. So it means it went live. Now, you probably don't have a lot of questions about the course yet, because a lot of the questions that you do have, are probably going to be answered in the course. So I want to give you a little bit of an overview before we go into other questions about animation and stuff. And then at the very end, we'll do some more critiques and live critiques. That's where I feel you can learn a lot more about things. It's when someone with more experience actually shows you what you can do better, then it becomes obvious to you and you learn a lot faster. I also have Kent here with me. He's on audio. Say hello, Kent.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. And I'd like to thank publicly Kent, because I don't think he gets enough praise for the work that he does for CG Cookie. There's so much stuff that gets piled on his plate, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And Kent just goes, yep, I'll do it. So Kent is amazing. And thank you very much, sir.
Well, it's a huge honor coming from you. Thank you.
No worries, man. No worries. Now, Kent, you've got some questions from people. Any of the questions, do we want to do some of them before we have a look at all the assets and stuff and all the rigs inside the new course? Any of the questions suitable just before we start?
Let's see. I was going to kind of ask you, sort of interview style you about the new course.
Go. Let's do that.
If that's cool to get that started off.
Very
cool.
Let
me just quickly, let's see if there are any questions that would make sense to go first from the people in the thread.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Some of these are like, related to animation, not necessarily the course.
Okay, yeah.
But so maybe we'll talk about those afterwards.
Yeah. We'll do the course stuff and then that stuff later. Okay, so you got some questions for me?
So, yes, I do. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with kind of how we got started with Wayne, it was the first time that we kind of put out a want ad essentially on the Blender network for an animation instructor. Historically, we've always found a good animator and reached out to them, or a good modeler, and gone about authors that way. Well, this is the first time we tried to get authors to come to us, and that's how we found Wayne. And so he brought with him this, he masterminded this sort of curriculum for animation that was fresh, and because I can do some animation, but I would never call myself an animator.
You're not
and no
bad,
one else
man.
here.
I was impressed with the stuff that you've done. You're not bad.
Not bad from Wayne. That's huge praise. So it was exciting to get Wayne on board and have this idea for how to teach, and he laid that out very clearly for me. So what I wanted to ask you, Wayne, is about that kind of curriculum that you have in mind, and you've been very intentional with the courses you've released so far.
Yep.
So tell me about the big plan, and then how you got specifically to the lip syncing now.
Well, when let me go back and I'll tell you the story of my evolution as an animator. I kind of found Blender and animation, and I was just teaching myself from the internet, and I learnt. I got all the books, and I was teaching myself, and I kind of hit this wall, this barrier which I couldn't get past, and I didn't actually know why my animation wasn't getting any better. I'm I understand timing and spacing, and I understand all that, but I wasn't kind of achieving. So then when I went to school, animation school, it wasn't until then, and someone showed me, they were like, oh, hang on, you think you know the basics, but you do not. And then they showed me, and I was like, oh, wow, I understand it. Everything else fell into place. And I saw that you need to have a logical progression of your learning. So when you start, you've got no idea about what you're doing wrong. So then you actually just need the right guidance and the right sequence of things, introducing new concepts one by one. And then once you kind of get your head around that, without focusing on too much at once, then you can progress to the next level and go, aha, now I've mastered I understand anticipation. So now when I go into the character ball shot, I can apply that to what I've learned to all the shots in the future. So I approached all the stuff that I've done with CG Cookie from the beginner mindset. I was like picturing what I was like as an animator 10 years ago, learning from the internet, and I was telling that person, myself 10 years ago, exactly what you needed to know to get past that barrier of I guess this is as good as I can get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then once so for you guys, I just laid it all out. I'm like, this is the order that you need to do it, and not tackling things that are too big. Because if you people suffered, especially myself, you do a little animation and it would be, someone would say something about it like, oh, that bit looks weird, and then you would justify it by going, yeah, I meant it to look like that, but I think we may have cut out a little bit. Hopefully we haven't. Oh no, we're still live. I've got to apologise to everyone for the quality of Australia's internet. It's really, really crappy internet over here, so that's why we might have a few blips and blobs. Apologise for that. Our internet is actually just two koalas with a bit of string and the two cans on the end of it. Where in the moment they're actually upgrading the internet in Australia, so we're going to have actually a couple of wallabies on a treadmill. It's going to be great, but at the moment it's just the two koalas with the tin cans. Awesome. Imagine that I said something funny and then you're all just there going, oh, Wayne, he's hilarious. All right, so the question where I think we left off was where did I see myself put the progression of the courses. So, well, first of all, everyone knows that we started with the Animation Bootcamp, and that is the most important thing. That's your foundations, and then once you kind of mastered that, and everyone's still mastering it. I'm still mastering it. All the professionals, like everyone's still mastering it. That's something that you work on all the time, your foundations. Then we move to the body mechanics, and that's something that you also have to work on. It's really, really hard, but if you can learn how to move a character, you can make them do anything, and that's basically the idea. And then we're moving on to, well, now you can make them move, you understand the basics, let's make them talk. So we are, in this course, we're mainly focused on, there's two kind of areas of thinking. There's a technical aspect of the art, and then there's the actual art form itself. Like, some people are good at animation, but their technical skills or their foundations aren't that great. So the shot might have a lot of a good feeling behind it. It might have, but it's poorly executed, if you know what I mean. And that's the technical part of it. I'm just tackling kind of the technical side first in this demystifying the lip sync. It's like, all right, let's forget about anything fancy. Let's just focus on the lips and the way that the lips move, because once you know your foundations of spacing and timing, then you can pull these lips around everywhere, and they can you can make them do whatever you want. So that's my level of thinking there. And then later on, hopefully we'll do all the acting bits that I've kind of taken out of this course, like left out. I have put a lot of tips in there, but I'm mainly, as I said, focused on the actual just moving of the lips. All right, so that's where we're that's where I'm planning the courses. So hopefully everyone can see that there's a natural progression of skills, and you don't just do the exercises in each of the courses once. Like, do them over and over and over, because you get stronger each time, and it's all about developing your eye. Because when I've heard people say this, like my teachers and my mentors were like, animation is developing your eye, it's developing your eye. And I was like, yeah, I know, I can understand. And it wasn't until like years later, I'm like, oh, you know what? All that stuff that they were saying was true. It's about, you got to be able to see.
Right. So one of the threads that I find so valuable about the courses you've done is you do manage to simplify things that isn't. It's not like dumbing it down as much as it's like you explain it in a way that makes sense to apply it to the complex stuff, like understanding the fundamentals, and then it clicks for why that applies to advanced stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the threads that continues in is your way of rigging. And so for this course, you re-rigged our Baker character.
Yes.
So I wanted you to talk about that. Like, it goes along with that concept, I think. Why do you need something so complex when you can do it more simplified? So I'm curious if you could talk about that.
Right. Yeah, it's actually, maybe I can show people this. Let me open it up. So Baker Light, and I will say goodbye to my big head for the moment. So look at me go. Oh, look at that. It's like I've used this program before. I've never used this program before, people. So if I hit the wrong button, just laugh at me. And we want you guys to laugh at how not great we are. We aren't. We're humans, people. We are humans. So if we make mistakes and stuff, yeah. All right. So this is the file, and I usually work on 2 monitors, so that's why everything's all squished up. So this is the Baker character that I re-rigged for this course. Now I haven't done an overview video of that, and you'll probably see why. Like when you get to that section, the advanced section, it's more of a advanced users only, and it's kind of a follow along thing. So if you're at one of the beginner stages, do the other shots a couple of times before you work up to kind of using the Baker rig. But if anyone's opened up the blend rig version of Baker, you just get overwhelmed. You're like, oh, I just want to move the chest, and there's 4,000 objects. Which one do I push? I've been animating with him, and all I want to do is move his chest a little bit over, right? And I haven't been able to do that. Now I love the blend rig system, and I love the Rigify system, but the actual rigs that they produce, I don't think is that. They're not easy to animate at all. I'm a professional, and I really struggle with the blend rig stuff. So I was like, well, let's make it a lot easier. So I've re-rigged this whole character. I've just done the body though. I didn't have enough time to do the face. So the face is pretty much exactly the same. We've just kind of copied and pasted on there, and a few tiny things are broken, but it doesn't matter, and I didn't really have enough time to make it work. But my whole idea was, let's make it usable. So here is the character. It looks exactly like and functions exactly like the VonBot rigs that you've already had 2 courses animating with. Yeah, I wore this shirt intentionally because I was planning to go hey, when we because right. Ken, you always pick the still images of me pulling the stupidest face or whatever, and you're like, yeah, let's plaster that on the social media. Let's get Wayne being an idiot. Here's Wayne. Yeah. All right. So we're back. Sorry again for the dropout, people. I've just dropped the quality level just a smidge, so hopefully we don't drop out. And next year they're upgrading the internet in my area, so it's going to be a lot easier to stream. But let's see how we go. So I'm not sure exactly where we cut out, but basically I was just showing you the new Baker rig. I'm not sure whether we're going to add it to the site as in the resources and stuff, but it's pretty much the VonBot character rig design, where it's super animator friendly with the blend rig head on top of that. Now it works the same way, where you've got the actual rig script. So this links in. So, and then down the bottom you'll get all these controls to turn it off there. So it works exactly the same way as the other one. So I don't need to kind of go through and explain it. But this is the actual rig that I use to do that shot at the end of the course. So yeah, so that's that one. So that's in the actual download folder. Now hopefully, I think it works. Kent can probably confirm this. When you download the folder, it's going to give you that structure, the project file structure. Right. Is that the way that it works, Kent?
Yep, that's right.
Great. So all you need to do
it'll be in a zip folder.
Yeah, so it'll be a zip folder, unzip that, and it's going to all unzip in the correct locations, and then you can work in a project style. Because I'm also trying to train you guys to be professional, because when I was young and doing my own little projects for learning and stuff, all my files were everywhere. Like it was super, super messy, and it was like, so I'm trying to train you guys early to work in a logical way. So when you guys come back in 6 months or a year or whatever, everything makes sense. You're like, okay, I'm looking for this file. It is in this location. You open it and it's there. You're like, yay, great. It's exactly where I said it was. All right, I'm going to, do you want me to show the other rigs?
Yeah, certainly. While you load those up, I've got a couple questions from Pierico.
Yeah.
He's asking, so this was a little while ago. He was asking, when did you take these classes? Maybe he's talking about the iAnimate.
Oh yeah. I went to iAnimate from 2010, the when they launched, and then it took me, I think, 2 or 3 years to finish it, and it was amazing. Like having the live classes is what made it great. Now at CG Cookie we can't quite do live, but we're doing. I'm trying to do my best to give you guys good feedback. So it's the next step down, if you know what I mean. Like, that's why I'm on there giving feedback every day. Now CG Cookie doesn't pay me the money to do that. I'm doing that out of the goodness of my heart because I want you guys to get better. I spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah,
my plan,
super generous.
Yeah, my plan is to hopefully, and I know some of you are on board. I want to get more of you on board. I want to get as many people as I can to help the community. So I'm giving my time for free for someone else, and then when you are at the level where you can help someone else, you help them and pay it forward, people. And I want to build a community of people who are willing to help, because that's the only way that we can get. That's the only way that we can get better is by helping each other get better. All right. Any other questions while we're looking at this?
Let's see. One of the other ones he was asking: were you a freelancer during this time, or was it strictly a student learning animation?
I was. I guess I've always been freelance, but I have many aspects or many areas of my life. Like I do performance, like comedy and acting. I'm on TV ads all the time. So that's kind of one area. I also work for a trivia company where I used to host funny trivia events and hosting events and things. And then I did animation. So I kind of had 3 jobs, and they all work. If one, I have less work in one, I have more work in the other. So animation at that time was just a hobby, and I might get one little job from someone that I knew once a year or something. Like someone at my brother's company, he used to work for Cold Storage or something like that. Actually, I know exactly like that. It was Cold Storage, and he had to do a presentation. So he's like, "Oh, can you make our character and then make him talk and present this information?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I did this insane amount of work in a week. And I look back at it now and I go, "How did I pull that off?" And it was basically because I did not know what I was doing, that I did not know how hard it was, that I achieved it. What's that thing about the bumblebee? The bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but it just doesn't know that it shouldn't be able to fly, and that's why it can fly, because its body is too big for its wings and stuff. Well, yeah, but it's not true. Like the physics have to be true, but that's the saying. People are like, well, the bumblebee doesn't know it's not meant to be able to fly, which is why it can fly. And they even talk in that stupid voice. So I think I answered his question. So back then, when I was a student, I was only doing a few little jobs here and there. And now animation for me has gotten bigger, and the other areas of my work have gotten smaller. So animation is my big one, and then I do occasionally I do other little jobs and stuff in the other areas. For money, because we need that to live. Right. All right, so here is the rig. This one, people don't have access to this one unless they're in the course. So I simplified everything. Again, it's about simplifying it. So when we're learning the shapes of the mouth, now there's one thing that I do in the course is I sometimes say shape when I mean sound, and sometimes I say sound when I mean shape, but they're interchangeable when you know what we're talking about. So here are our shapes and our sounds, if you think about it, because the sound are making shapes. What we're focused on first is just changing showing the right shape at the right time, and then once we've mastered that, when we move to 3D, you're like, oh, I've simplified it, I've made it a lot easier. So we're thinking about those shapes and how they're moving around. So that's the idea behind this 2D rig. Plus, it's really, really fun. Like, yay!
So I think it's super cool where this rig came from, because it came directly on the heels of a freelance project you were doing. Spent a lot of time on, right? Like this 2D concept.
I can't show you. It was meant to launch in October, but they have pushed the. I've messed up my crappy hair. There we go. It was meant to launch in October, but it has now been pushed back to December. So I think I can show everyone in a week or two. But I can tell you what it is. They've got a website already. It is Willy Nilly and Thumper. Is it? Let me.
I'll find that and post it in the chat. Willy Nilly.
So Willy Nilly. And
I think I found it.
Thumper.
These rabbit characters?
Yeah, rabbit characters. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You can probably see me loading. Oh, gee, my internet's so slow. Here we go. So this is there. So willynillyandthumper.com. You can see these characters up here. Don't worry about... these characters aren't that good. That's the actual original drawings. But these are the ones we did with Fuzz Studios, who I work for quite a lot. We did a trailer for their TV series, which is coming up on the Basin PBS thing. So it's premiering in January. So I can't show you the actual animation that we did, but we did the intro titles to this. So it's 60 seconds long. It's all in 2.5D, I guess you call it, because it's all puppet cutout. But these characters are doing crazy adventures. 60 seconds, 27 shots. Each shot had to be hand drawn from the specific camera angle of where and depending on what the characters were doing. So in that particular shot that you're looking at, these characters, they push the curtain of leaves behind. So we had to create a whole bunch of vines that were rigged, and then they could be animated, and then the arms and the heads, so they come through, they push the curtains like that, and then they look at each other and they look back. So we have to decide for each shot what body parts that we need to draw. So we've got the head straight on, we've got the head to the side, and then do we need the breakdown in the middle? I was a technical director, so I had to decide, okay, what angles do we need to draw? Then we've got Art Vote, who is the artist for this. His name is Art, and he's a great artist, very funny. He had to draw them all. So the hands, we've got the hands in this position, we've got the hands in this position, we've got the hands in this position, and he gives me a Photoshop file, and I have to rig it so that it all just, so Nathan can animate it and just go, so his arm goes seamlessly, or so it looks like it's seamlessly. And then we also did a little bit of a trick where we animated on ones. Now, when I say ones, it means every frame, we're showing every frame for exactly one frame. But then I wrote a little script that changes everything to be twos. So we're showing one frame for 2 frames. So we're only showing every second frame, and that gives it that hand-drawn or more of a hand-drawn type feeling. And it worked really, really good. The intro, I think, is going to be better than the show.
Now, I'm curious, are they using the same assets that you built for the intro?
I'm not
for
sure.
The rest of the show?
I was not involved in any of that side of it. So I've worked with Nathan from Fuzz for I think 7 years now. Like every year we do a couple of projects. So he takes care of all of that, and he actually did the animation for it. And I had to rig hundreds and hundreds of characters, because each shot drawn from a specific angle, they all went for like 2 seconds long. And we had to decide, all right, this character has 3 heads, so I need to put them all in there, rig it up so he can just change a slider and the head will move. Then we've also got the eyes, so when the eyes blink, exactly the same way as these characters. So let me drag him. So we're just showing the frame, so when you drag them down, his eyes blink like that. And so that's all done with drivers. So you can see all the drivers over here, all these purple things, they're the drivers that do that. So that's what we did for, I'm on the wrong page. So that's what we did for this characters. So they all have, depending on what they need to do, they each had specific eyelid levels. Yeah. And then the backpack.
That's so cool.
The backpacks on their back bounce, and it was some shots were really, really difficult because you're like, how do we get a flat image to actually look like it's walking? It was really difficult, but it was great to use your mind and go, figured out how to solve this problem. All right.
Right. Yeah. So you didn't animate on that project. You were strictly rigging.
That was the first one where I have just been the technical director, because I actually don't think of myself as a rigger or a technical person. I think of myself as an animator first. But it turns out like everyone loves the rigging that I do. They go, I need you to rig this, and I always get offered the things that are not easy to do, and that is, it's like if it's a biped, you can just go and rig it with Rigify or something like that, which isn't that hard to do. I'm not sure if we've got any. Do we have any tutorials on how to do that? We might. I think
an old one about Rigify. Yeah, we've got an old one.
Now, as I said before, I love the actual Rigify concept of building the rig and not building it from scratch. That is absolutely wonderful, and Rigify is going to get the job done most of the time. But the actual rig, if you want to do some proper character animation for it, it's not quite. It's not really that great. You move the hips, like the top half of him move, and it's like, I just want to move his hips, and everything else is he's like come on. And that reverse spine, like where the spine slider, I've never used that ever. Like actually the only time where I have actually had to rig something or use an inverse spine rig was in this willy-nilly and thumper thing, because in one of the shots there's a massive eagle, and the eagle's grabbing them from their shoulders, and so that's the pivot point, like that's the actual center of gravity. That's the only time in like 10 years of animation that I've actually had to have the pivot point of a character's, like their center of gravity, up here on the chest, like the inverse spine, as you call it. One time in 10 years. But but every rig that you get has that built in, and you have to like turn it off or whatever. It's like, if it doesn't need to be there, don't have it there.
Right.
So that's why.
Absolutely.
That's what I did to the Baker when I simplified that. It's like, well, most of the time you're not going to need it. Don't worry about it, right? If you do need it, then worry about it for that one shot in the 10,000 shots that you're gonna use. Not it be a burden for 10,000 or 9,999 shots, and then that one shot you're like, yes, I'm glad I've got this feature. All right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want people to.
So we had a question.
Question me up.
So one question from Scott about, like, ties into that. He was asking, how much coding does one need to know to rig and animate?
To animate, you need zero. To rig, you can get away with not knowing anything, but knowing Python helps. Knowing maths or mathematics, do you call it math over there in the Northern Hemisphere? We call it maths here. I think you guys call it math.
Yeah, we don't say maths that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we say
mathematics
because we're cool. Yeah, maths. Yeah, so
that works.
Yeah, I'm cool. My wife thinks I'm cool. Yeah. Knowing maths helps. But yeah, knowing Python, even if it's scripting, like so say if you've got to change a whole bunch of bones or something like that, just knowing how to do a loop really helps. So you're going to go import bpy, and then you're going to go, you find a selection. So selection equals bpy dot context dot pose bones, and then you're going to go for I in selection, do something. You spell it correctly, and then you run your little script on all the bones that you have selected, and it's going to do it. So say if I wanted to turn off a feature, say, I have to turn off the scale for the X, Y, and Z. You just write a little script like this, select all the ones that you want to do, hit run. So it's not necessary for you to know how to do Python, but it really, really speeds it up, and it helps you. It also takes away the user error. Like say, for example, in this shot, you don't see her. Actually, maybe you see her down here. This character here, her name is Stella, and she has crazy red hair, like all over the place. So for one of these shots, it's obviously a 2D drawing, and it's layered. So we've got like, I can't remember, but maybe we have 8 different layers of hair, and each one has to be rigged with bones independently. So all I've done is create. I'm going to break my file here, but let's do it anyway. Just don't save it. So we had to like create a chain of bones that was independent of each other. So it's like, okay, there's one strand of hair, and then here is another one. We've got another strand of hair over here, which is different to that one, completely different. And then we need them all to be logically named. So all I had to do was write a little script like this, select my bones, type in what I wanted to call them, hit enter, and then I've renamed the bones without actually having to type all that. Because if you make a typo, you might make a typo in one of them by selecting it and changing the name. I need to call this one hair 01A/.L, and then you've got, it can break everything. So just knowing how to do Python can make your job easier as a rigger. You're like, yeah, I don't have to think about that. I'll let the computer do the thinking for me.
Yeah,
I think I just said the same
thing. That's even like
times.
Beyond rigging. It helps like with modeling, kind of everything that you can do. It can always supplement your workflows.
And that's the way you should see it. Like see it as a supplement, not as a necessity. So if you can work on that skill and treat it exactly like you're doing the other skills, where you are you're practicing it and getting better at it. Like don't sit there for your whole week and I'm trying to do this thing. Just do a little bit every day and try and get better at it. Like I try and get better at drawing, so every day I do drawing. I'm not that good at drawing, but if you look back at when I started, I think two or 3 years ago, like you go, oh yeah, you know what, Wayne is a lot better at drawing than he was 2 or 3 years ago. But I'm not trying to be a better artist or a better illustrator. All I want to do is become a better animator, and that's a skill that helps. It actually it supplements. It works together with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I think I've broken the file. I want people to play around with this file, have a lot of fun with it. Just make sure, getting back to this file now, that this one is set to constant. So we don't actually want it to be. We don't want it to slide around. So grab it over there. Oh, and you can also do snapping as well. I think I'll explain all that in the actual video for this one. So there's some snapping. It should be on vertex. Yeah. So we don't actually want it to slide. Oh, I didn't key that. What an idiot. Okay, so now we've got, see this sliding over there? We actually don't want that. We want this to be snapping. So we can open up our graph editor. We're actually on the drivers now. Let's go there and select them all and go constant. So then it's just going to snap over one frame. See it jump? Yep. So the ones where the body parts swap out, like the eyelids, we want those, because that's not a big move. You can get away with just actually not having this one on constant or stepped mode. I'm trying to show you that there. But it's probably better to have anything where the body parts swap, so the eyelids, everything else on actual stepped mode, because then you can really control what image that you're showing. But anything that moves around, like the mouth, this you want to be in Bezier. Hello, put me in Bezier mode. I'm an idiot. All right.
Keep it fun.
Yeah. Any other questions related to this one? Otherwise, I'll show the Melvin
Yeah, go ahead and bring up the Melvin one. While you're doing that, we had a question. We have one from Rogerio Stravino.
I'm glad you're saying the names because I struggle.
Yeah. So they're asking, do you use add-ons for Blender rigging? I guess like you've talked about Rigify, but when you are assigned, like when you get a freelance job for rigging, do you use any add-ons during that process?
That one I use the cutout animation tools, which I've got turned off by default now, but it's actually in there. I actually gave he's developed it for free. What's his name? Andre. He's well known. Let me show you.
Andreas, is that his name?
Yeah, cutout animation tools. So he calls it Koa Tools. Andy, Andy is his name. But his real name is. I'll show you in a moment. I think it's Andreas Esdu or something like that. Maybe
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Something like that. Yeah. So this guy. Yeah. So this is the add-on that I used, which makes it really great for animating 2D stuff. Works really really well, really quick. It doesn't do everything that in the way that I like it, but then I just edited that later. So it was really helpful. I actually donated to him because he helped me. He saved me a lot of time. So that's the ND ones, and then this one, the Bone Widget tool. I can't. Let me show you what that is. Actually, I'll do it on a new file so I don't break the actual project that I'm working on. We're doing a CG cookie Christmas thing, so look out for that. Okay, so I'm going to add a bone. This is the rig tools that I use, which is called Bone Widget, and what it does is you can create a bone widget really easy. So here they are. You got a cube, you got an arm, a finger, a cube, a hand, yada yada. So I'm going to go. Actually, you have to be in pose mode, but I'm going to create a cube, right? So it's turned this bone into a cube, and it's actually put the actual, it's over here at the moment, but it's put it on this layer over here, which is great. So if I edit this, you can see this one's edit. So it's got some really great, I guess you call them presets for different shapes. I use that one all the time, and it really, really helps. It's got some handy tools where you can match the bone transformations. So, whoops, actually I think I have to select that one. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So match bone transforms. Why is that not working? It's always when you're showing someone how it's meant to work that it doesn't work.
Oh, always.
Anyway,
always.
So this one's meant to snap it over there into the actual position, and it makes it really, really handy because when you've got a character like who has the widgets all over him, you can just snap it there and edit it, and you know what it's going to look like on the character. So I use that one. I'm not sure what it's called. So rigging Bone Widget by Manuel Reyes and Christopher. I guess that would be Sue. Is that Christophe Sue? That looks French to me. My French isn't very good. I'm learning Italian, which is another thing that I like to do for my brain. So io sono principate nella italiano. That's all I know how to say. I'm a beginner at Italian. All right, so that's that.
Man, one thing that's true about you is you have a lot of interests that you invest in, like drawing, for example. I don't think I've seen many drawings from you, but you do it every day, and you're learning Italian. I've seen some on your gallery.
Oh, yeah, I've done the... I'll show you my drawings, so you guys can believe me or not. So Blender, drawing...
I didn't mean to...
I've got like cartoon sketches that I just copy from the thing to work on stuff. Like I want to draw a cartoon face. But I mainly do a lot of gesture drawing. So here is some of my first gestures. You can actually, because I've just got a new computer, everything says 2017. So I drew all of this work in a week. So here are some. So these date back.
I'm waiting that 20-second delay to see it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, here are some of my crappy drawings.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And now,
dude, that's awesome.
So 287 days I've done drawing. You can see, let's find a good one that doesn't show nudity. I don't want to, don't look at that one. So there you go. This is a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I just try and do drawings every day.
I mean, I find that super inspirational that you just are constantly learning new things. You said Italian, you're drawing.
Oh, you got
you're
it,
into
man.
comedy, you do.
Yeah, you got it.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. Okay, another question for you. This is from Natasha26. I used Maya 2 years ago,
Yep.
and until a year ago when I've used Blender, I've switched over to Blender, and I've never used the dope sheet. Can you tell me if you can get along with just the graph editor to do animation? Is the dope sheet necessary?
The dope sheet, no, any way that you want to animate is fine. So if you are really fast in a certain way, don't let anyone else tell you, oh, you should be doing it this way. This is the only way that you should be doing it. But I would encourage people to try different ways, and seriously try them and go, oh, okay, I'm going to try this out for the next 2 shots that I work on. And you might find yourself, and set yourself that limit and go, okay, two shots or whatever it is, but stick to it. Don't just use it for 5 minutes and go, oh, this is crap. Like the guy said I should use this and I don't understand it. Really stick with it, and then you might see the benefit, and then you can accurately decide whether it is worth you continuing to use that or whether it's not for you. It's all about adding the right skills to your workflow. If it slows you down, don't do it. If it speeds you up, hell yeah, let's get on board with that. The reason that you didn't use it in Maya is because the way it works in Maya is very limiting. It's it's pretty much useless in Maya. In Blender, it is very, very, very useful. So I'll show you what here's the Christmas shot. I'll try and get some room for you guys to see. So yeah, this is, am I allowed to show this, Ken? This is the thing that we're working on. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to show this. Are you there, Kent? Did you fall asleep? Oh no, Kent fell asleep.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I was catching. I'm sorry, I was trying to catch up on some of the chat stuff.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I was just asking, am I allowed to show this, the Christmas?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So with the dope sheet, here we've got our character is running on to this surprise here. I'm trying to keep it a surprise, but I don't know. We'll see. Our dope sheet helps us move around our keyframes. So what we can do is when we're inside edit mode, pose mode, you can select anything that you want, and you can display that with the little arrow here. So if you want to show all your keyframes or half of the keyframes or whatever you want, that's what that button does. And the dope sheet, we can actually grab things, we can move it around, we can select all of them. I think this is another question from someone is, what is the point of the extend function? Is it just the same as the grab key or the move tool?
Yeah, that's right.
And the answer is no. Here is what you can do. Actually, I'll show you all the keys. Say if I want to extend the time from here to here, right? I can have all my keyframes selected just with the A key, and then I can hit E, and I can only move half of them, or the ones that are to the right of our cursor here. And if I want to move these ones, I can extend them that way. And that way I don't need to select, let me box select these ones, or let me box select this one, this one, this one, this one. You've got a lot more flexibility and freedom. So that's what the dope sheet can do for you. I forgot was it Nina who asked that question?
Natasha.
Natasha. Sorry, my apologies, Natasha.
No,
so that's what the dope sheet can do. Now there's a difference between the dope sheet and the action editor. They look exactly the same, but the dope sheet has more than one. It shows all of the characters' animation things. So say if I had some animation on this box, let's just put some. So, no keying set available. So let's turn this off and go insert lock rot. And so we've got a keyframe there, and we've got a keyframe there. So now, in the dope sheet, I can see my cardboard box and my Melvin, and say if I want to move them together, I can select them and move both of these characters together. So I do that in the dope sheet. See how I did that? So I can see both of them. If we're in the action editor, that is just a single character. So when I select our Melvin character, this is the action called Melvin Xmas. I wonder what it's for. It's for Christmas. I think that was obvious. So that's the difference between the action editor and the dope sheet. Is that right? Yeah, dope sheet. Yeah. So one thing you can do, which might help you out, you can actually change the color of the keys. I think it's with the R button. Yeah, so you can change what you want to call it. So everything is a keyframe, which is this orange color by default. That's fine. I have never used the color ever, but that's not to say that if I haven't used it, doesn't mean that it might be able to help you. So you might use it as a marker to go, okay, this blue one is the start of my cycle, and here is the end of my cycle. So I know from blue to blue, that is one full cycle. So you can use it to help yourself out, or you can add a marker. You can see I've got some markers down here. Excuse me, that's my breakfast coming up. So you can see I've got markers down here to help me, and I've actually even put a marker down here to say stop. Now I could have just, colored this a different color. Let's color it red. Red means stop, but I didn't. So that's what you can do in the action editor / dope sheet. It is a lot more flexible than the version in Maya, because the one in Maya, all I wanted to do when I've used that one is I wanted to extend the keys like this, and you have to do it frame by frame. You have to go push the keyboard, keep the keyboard, and then you go no, and then delete that frame, delete that frame, delete that frame. So yeah, the way it works in Blender, much better. So hopefully that has answered your question, Natasha. Now I forgot what I was talking about with this character. What I wanted to show you was his face in the middle of the course. So we start out with the Baker 2D version that I just showed you. In the middle of the course, we're working with this Melvin character. This hasn't been released before, so we're really happy to be able to get this to the public and have another character for people to play around with. And I wanted to show people that you don't need fancy controls to be able to move the mouth around and create believable lip sync. This guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he has roughly 10 controls to move his mouth, and that's enough to create something believable. All it needs to be is believable, folks. If people are looking at your lip sync because something's gone wrong, you haven't done, it's all mushy, or it's something's not quite right. So this character, he doesn't have lips, he doesn't have teeth. He has lips, but his mouth is like a D shape. So I wanted just to get you guys practicing with different shaped mouths that aren't too difficult, if that makes sense. Yeah, so have some fun, and then you can go and do some crazy technical lip sync where you've got curls going on and little tiny intricate details. So that's the middle of the course. We're going to be doing some animation with this guy. He's going to be fun.
I love that you always bring new rigs up in courses. I think we're building quite a library of rigs.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that as well. Yeah, because there's not that many to choose from. When I think I've spoken before, when I was doing it, I animate, I didn't really want to use Maya because I was very slow at it. And all I wanted to do was push the button. It wouldn't work, and I cried a lot. So I actually rigged all the characters as I went. I'm I want to use this character. I rigged it, which was great because it really helped my rigging skills. I was oh, cool. I learned some stuff, but it's really, really silly because I spent quite a lot of time rigging when I could have focused that time more on animation. But that's something that I chose to do. I always pick the hardest thing to do, and that's the path that I go.
That bee situation again.
That's it. Yeah, the bee. I'm the bumblebee, man. Watch me fly.
All right, so we got about 40 minutes left. Just wanted to let you know. So you still want to go through some member critiques? We've got
I can do that,
questions that were from the community thread, which we definitely want to honor, given that they asked them ahead of time.
Let me bring up the critiques, and we'll answer some questions.
Okay.
So questions first, and maybe we'll intersperse them between some stuff.
Okay, cool. On top of that, we're building up a collection of questions from the chat from real time.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
Kent's
throw any of those
at
you right now?
Yeah, I haven't got the chat window open because it's going to break my internet, like the two koalas and their string and their cans, they're going to be like, what? No, they're going to go on break.
So while you're bringing up the critique, this should be a fairly simple question. Advocat is asking, what was your process of learning animation like? Did you learn any particular thing first to develop your skills, like, for example, a tutorial? That was her question. You've talked about your iAnimate.
Yeah, I went to iAnimate. I taught myself everything from books and stuff, and the internet, like YouTube, looking at stuff, and I only got so far, and then I went to school, and I was like, everything I taught myself wasn't quite right, which is what I've tried to address in these courses, which I've said before. It's like I wanted to target the animator that I was, and give them the information that I was missing, or highlight it, so that hopefully it stops them from making the same mistakes that I was. Like, one mistake that I still see every or nearly every bouncing ball, arcing ball, like, we've got the spacing here. Here is I should have drawn it on the ground, but I didn't. This frame here should always be the biggest, but it's really easy to forget about this and like put it here, and then it's like slowing down. So it always gets you. So I always try and emphasize that in people's work, really, and especially early. Like, if you can get on top of that early, then you really, really understand your spacing, and you're not going to make it. It's going to be by an automatic decision in your brain. You're not even going to think about it. You're just going to have perfect spacing, and everything's going to look fantastic. Let me delete that. How do I delete? I haven't done this. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, so we have one from Pierico. It's a little while back, but he asked something about FK and IK snapping, I think to do with that one tool that you were showing off. Sorry, I should ask that.
It doesn't. That one doesn't do IK FK snapping, and I haven't added that to any of the rigs intentionally, because I don't want people. I want people to learn without having it, because you're not always going to have it. So you need to be able to animate without it, so that you can overcome the problems in those cases when you don't have it. Then once you understand how everything works the hard way, then you can take the easy road, if you know what I mean. That's my level of thinking. It's like, if there's no harm in knowing how to drive them. Yeah, it's like driving a manual or driving an auto. Like, you can drive an automatic if you've got a manual license, but if you can't drive a manual, like, so you might as well learn a manual, and then you can do both. That's my thinking. All right, so that's
you're busting out some analogies. I really like it.
I think my analogies are crap, man. What are you talking about?
No, I respect your analogy skills. So he also passed some Italian to you, which I'll try and read.
Okay.
Grazie parli benissimo?
I talk good. Yeah.
Okay.
Grazie per favore. Thank you, please.
Awesome.
All right. So what? Cool.
Doing? So we actually have the creator of this of the animation that you're looking at. He's actually here, or he or she is here.
Jack is how I like to call him.
That's the one.
I give everyone nicknames on the site. I don't know whether you guys have noticed that, because Simon Buzz, your Buzzo. Is Simon Buzz here? I hope Buzzo's here. Oh, I think, have we crapped out?
Let's see. Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him say anything yet.
Oh, I think the connection is crapped out. Oh.
It looks good so far for me.
It's giving me warnings here, but hopefully it hasn't.
Okay.
So Ejack is here. He did this a while ago. I think where we left off was we're talking about Ejack's work here. I love your name, Ejack. It's really fun to say. He did this a while ago. We were going to review it last month, but we pushed the review to this month to coincide with the launch of this course. So let's go here. He's done a really, really great job. So boing. And is it just me? Like, when I hear these animations, or when I watch these animations, I hear sounds, and I think other people. I'm not the only one that happens to. So.
Oh, like you naturally input sounds.
Yeah, like your brain plays the sounds. Jack, you've done a great
That's
job.
awesome.
That's my
I feel
favorite
like that's
bit
an
there.
animator thing.
I think it is an animator thing. Yeah, I hear the sounds like when he whips around. He's like whoop whoop,
Yeah.
boing boing boing.
I don't usually hear sounds when I'm like building shaders and stuff.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. So this is so great, so great, eJack. So it is epic. How long does it go for? It's like so long. So I won't critique frame by frame, but there's a little bit of advice that I'll give you. So this is what I do with everyone's work, by the way, is I scrub through it and I go, oh, okay, here. So around the 70 mark, you've got like it's just a weird wobble, so you can probably just tweak that in the curves a little bit. So around 70 mark, I'll just grab a pen and just jot some stuff down. So there's a weird wobble around here. Just mark that frame. So you can just manipulate those curves a little bit. It's a tiny little bit there. Great anticipation. See how he's slowing down. He didn't slow out. Oops, I just spat on my graphics tablet. So do I like that pop? I think I like that pop. Yep, I like the way he's popping in there. He's got no slow out from the extreme squash, which is our antic pose. But one thing that you're going quite far here. This goes back to, if you are going to go straight to this pose without slowing out, you need to bring this one higher, I think. Like just get him a little bit more, because you created more of a momentum up. But that's good. I love that little bounce there. That's really good. Boing, boing. I really like your swivels around. But one thing that I have noticed about all of the swivels is that they all take the same amount of time. They're all like the same speed. So I think you can vary them up, where it's like one's fast, one's slow, depending on the way that he's thinking about it. So if he's if he's kind of nonchalant, he's like, oh, what's going on? Like that can be a slower turnaround. It's like, what is so like? Did you see that? What's going on? What happened here? But if it's later on, so when he does, this one here, he's a little bit more worried. So just spin faster. Take a couple of frames off, so that they're not all taking the same amount of time, if that makes sense. This one here, there's a weird spacing. I think, he pops up. Okay, I think it's there. So the way he pops up on this frame, he's higher on 536 than he is on 537. You see how he's gone down there? And then, it's just his body. I would keep him going up and then come down. So just watch the top of his head and keep that all going up. Like so the spacing on the top of the ball, treat that like the spacing on the entire ball. So just push this up a little bit here. So he finishes up a little bit higher. So he's around there, and then come down in the same way. So that, I think, is going to remove that little bit of it's almost like a jitter at the top. But I like that a lot. This is my favorite bit, where you have him kind of scrunched down, ready for, oh, this is it. The way that you got that to happen with just a simple ball, good job, man. It means that you're thinking about the limitations of the character, and it's like, this is the emotion that I want to express. How do I do it? And you've nailed it. So well done on that. And then, I think you can have him overshoot a little bit when he comes back. So he's just squashed here. He's like, and then he comes back, and he can maybe do a little bit of a breath, and then turn. And these turns, you've got the same thing going on, where it's the same. So just vary them up a little bit, and then boing, 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 all the way off. I think maybe this arc here, just jumping off, can go a little bit higher just to clear. I think that arc is a little bit like that, and it just should be a little bit further, if you know what I mean. Hopefully you know what I mean. And then the end, when he runs off, Love that. When he's doing this, you can do a stagger. So what you do is you know how I spoke about the top going up and down in this section over here. This is actually what you want to happen over here. So just have like 1 or 2 frames where he's up like that, and then shrink him down so where he's about there. And you want to do the same on the bottom. Otherwise, it's going to look like he's going like that. You want him to squash up and down just over 1 frame or 2 frames, and try and vary it up a little bit. So don't have him go to the same height. And how many times are you going to do it? I would try maybe 6, but that might be too many. So just experiment with that. Just do a little bit of a stagger, and then run off at the like you have at the end. But very, very good, EJack. Very, very, very good. Yeah, that's all the notes that I have on that one. Sorry it took so long to get to it, but you just did a great job. All right, so let's look at the next one that I've got, which is Afri Wahono. Yeah, Afri. Oh, he's not here.
It was a good effort.
Let me reconnect to this. Why is it not linking in? Uno momento. 1 moment in Italian. So CG Cookie, we're going streams. I don't know why the videos are not here. So this is our video. Come on.
You're talking about streaming videos?
No. Yeah, for some reason the video wasn't actually connecting. There we go. Okay, so here is another character ball. This is Afri's one. I hope that's right. Yeah, so he's done a good job. So rolling in. Let me play this one. Where does it end? It ends about there. So let me just end it there. Play this one. So he runs on, does a little bit of a spin, bounce. Yeah, so just the arc is a little bit off there. Boing! Funny. Great, and you nailed that bit and that bit there. I love how you're playing with the gravity of the world. You're mixing it up, and then your whole cartoony bit at the end is fantastic. And then it's looped. Yes, love a loop. So maybe what I think he can be slightly slower on his entrance. Is Afri here? Do you know if he's here, Kent?
Doing more admin stuff.
Okay, sorry.
Who's this for?
Afri. Do you know if he's in the chat?
I don't believe so. Okay. I've not seen that name.
Okay, so let me just try and write some notes down here. So I'd just be 1 or 2 frames slower in the entrance. So just 1 or 2 frames slower, just to give the audience a little bit more time to see what's happened. But I like the bounce here. One thing that I would do is I would cheat it so that this stripe is flat, right? So whatever that is, you just grab the whole curve at the start of the animation and just slide it down all together so that it finishes flat like that. It's just a weird skew. You're just like, why is it like at 45 degrees when it's just a little bit off. Let me get my drawing out of the way. This you can see here we've got a stretch that goes in this direction, all right? So then our next frame we expect him to be traveling in this direction, but he is off. He's like traveling in this direction. So what we need to do is either stretch him in that direction or make him arc in that direction. And I think it's probably going to be better if you go in this direction first. So just have him a little bit higher so that he goes and lands wherever he's going to land. So probably, I was about right. Probably a little bit further to the screen right here. So just watch that arc when he's jumping onto that platform. So scrubbing through, that's looking okay. I love the how he's squashing his butt up there. It's pretty good. But, okay, here's one of those spacing things. Let's have a look at the bottom of the ball. Okay, so there is our spacing where, actually, am I right? Yep, I am. So we're going towards the ground, but this frame here is actually shorter than this frame here. So that's what we're going to be, that's what we need to look at and see how easy it is to forget that. And once you see it, you'll be like, aha, there is one of those moments where it's so easy to get wrong. Or not that it's wrong, but you can just make it look better by just tweaking the spacing a little bit so that last frame is always bigger than the frame above it. All right, so that applies to all of those squashes, but I love what you're doing with the actual squash. Here is great. I would make him appear just at the top here, so actually have the ball, so that we know where he's coming from. I was a little bit off, but you know what I mean. Move it to the right spot, and I would add more frames on the ground. So he's stretching all the way over the screen here. I would squash him down, so he would be maybe like that size. I don't know, I'd play with the size, and then I would go to this extreme squash. So just add in an extra frame before that, and then a frame, actually no, the frame afterwards is okay, but just make sure he's contacting the ground. That way it's kind of like a push off the wall, rather than him just bouncing off it. All right, love the spin. Love how you've done the stretch, like you're not stretching all the way from the top, you're just deciding this is when we're going to start the stretch, which is going to be 2 frames to the ground, but keep him in line. So see, he should be going in that direction, but he's kind of in that direction. I'm a little bit over, I've overshot the mark there. So, whoops, erase, I think you know what I mean. Delete, 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 and draw. Let me do continuous drawing. So probably about there. So just shift that butt over a little bit. Boing. Yeah, the same. You got the same thing going on in that section. Whoops, I'm scrubbing all over the place. But I love how cartoony he's got it, because he's got a lot of hang time, and then when he goes fast, he really goes fast with that stretch, and the stretch is matching the amount of the speed that he's picking up. So that's going good. Actually, the arc is probably a little bit out of whack. Just check that he's arcing nicely. I think it's the squash here that is throwing it out. He's squashed this way. That's good. The end here. Again, just show him entering like this, and then that's good. Yeah, I like that bounce off the wall. And then at the end, what's he do? Squash, bounce, bounce. Boing. Loving it. So big, small, it's building up energy, building up energy, building up energy, and then he's releasing it. I think bring this one down just slightly. So he's like about there. That's really pedantic, Wayne. But I want you to be closer to this position here, and I think you all are also like stretching in that way when he should be kind of more towards there. Yep, towards where he's going. And then when he jumps off, here is your super stretch. Move this up. So almost get him out of the frame. We want to see him disappear. So that's good. And then the end, coming back. Touch the ground on that contact. So just move him down to the ground. Boing, and that's it. And then I think it starts again. It does. Boing. Great job. Great job, R-Free. Just going to call you AW. AW. Good job. All right, so let me know if you've got any more questions, but I'll move on to the next one.
So we've also got about 20 minutes, 18 minutes left.
Okay, cool.
How many more critiques do you have? Or you have to
1,
get through?
2, 3, 4. I've got 4, but we'll see how we go. Oh, is
Okay.
the stream crapped out again?
It's a minor nuisance, but I think it's
Alright.
okay.
So-
Koala strike.
Yeah. They're like, oh, hell no. We want a smoko. All right. So, yeah, this is Matthew Fricker's work. I love how hard people work. I've got a lot of respect for anyone who understands how hard it is, and they've got grit. They're just like, right, this is hard, and I'm just gonna do it. And they do it more than once. I got so much respect for those people. Matthew Fricker is one of those people who works really, really hard, and so does Dorskin, aka Night Changer. He works super, super duper hard, and it's just great to see him get there. And he's never, like, if he doesn't hit the mark, he's like, rightio, that doesn't matter. I'm just gonna have another crack at it and aim to get better every time. So that's our goal. Just get better each time. You're never going to get it perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. All right, so let's have a look at Matthew Fricker's work. I think it is the middle of the night there, so I don't know whether he is going to be awake. Where is my colours? I want to change the colour of my pen here because we're going to be drawing on black on black. Anyway, so let's have a scrub through his work. So he's doing the body mechanics shot with, this is obviously Rivet jumping off the box here. So let me find an ending here, E, and I'll just play this one once or twice through. It's a short one. So you can see he's got a lot of the posing going good, but it's the timing and the spacing that's kind of letting it down. Where it's going fast when it should be going slow, and slow when it should be going fast. So let's have a look here. One other thing that I look for parts where it goes straight. So here he's kind of just tilting right from his hips, and his head is his kind of it's going straight in the line. So we're going from this position here, hopefully you can see that, to this position here in kind of a straight line. But what we can do is we find the midpoint and we put the break down lower. So rather than it being up there, excuse my bad drawings, but we push it down so it goes around like that. Now how do we get the head there? We bend his hips down as well. So we can probably bring his hips down so that he's kind of swooping down like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Drawing black on black, I can't figure out where my colors are. It's over this side. Footage, camera, objects. No, grease pencil, there we go. So tint, let's go with white. Nope, it is going to be my grease pencil color. That's going to make sense. Let's draw white, there we go. Yeah, so now you can see it, that's good. So just try and avoid that straight line moving there. Arc him down, so go like that. Hopefully you can see from the camera what I was doing then. Okay, and same on the way back. And now with our jump here, you've got a broken ankle here. So just try and don't raise your heels more than necessary. People are very efficient when they do body mechanics. So when you walk, you swing through really, really close to the ground, because raising your leg is going to require more energy. The more energy you burn, the more you have to eat, the more you have to hunt and stuff like that. So that's the way that the body works. It's trying to be as efficient as possible. And lifting your heel like this is also that same issue. So you wouldn't actually get much push off until you're, you want to get those heels lower is basically what I'm saying, in a really weird way. So just don't go so high with those heels, and especially here. See how you've got this broken ankle? So we want to get that looking good, and it's not so obvious on this side, but yeah, so get those toes on the ground, so the whole flat bit on the ground. Stretch his arms out more, so get some momentum. That's meant to be his hand there. So stretch his arms up more, and now here he's leaning back too far. So watch the way that his chest goes back here, from here to here. So think about it like the bouncing ball that just happened in after his work where the bottom was catching the top. That's exactly what we're doing here. So think about it as the top kind of arcing towards that, and then the bottom kind of catching up, but creating a C shape. So in the air here, think about it like a C shape. So that's the, I'm drawing it off. So yeah, rather than it being leaning back like this, squash him forward like that. And maybe his arms will be kind of like that. Who knows? Yeah, getting his knees up is good. And yeah, this one, drag it back a little bit. Something like that. Those arms are bad. Ignore the arms. The arms are really bad. Then the same thing in reverse when you're at the top, coming out. So we're coming from that C shape of the spine, where that's his torso and that's his spine, and we're getting the bottom to go faster than the top. All right, that's good. I love how you're delaying the leg here. So the arc is probably, just watch this arc. He's kind of arcing back towards the screen left a little bit. So you want to move him just a little bit to screen right. So he's kind of landing there, if that makes sense. And then in the recovery, it's just a little bit slow. So you've got a lot of the right things going on. You want to, yeah, this shape here, this leg is broken, so you need to get him, you're obviously going to move his whole body over a little bit, but get his foot a little bit closer to his butt, meaning underneath his butt, and that'll take care of that broken leg. Walking around on broken leg. And then the weight here, see how he lifts his foot up, but his weight is over that leg? You won't be able to do that. So that's why having your leg a little bit closer is going to help. But make sure that you shift his hips back onto the other leg before you lift the foot up, if that makes sense. So that's just, I think this foot is lifting up too early. If you delayed that, you get the hips back sooner, you're going to be able to lift that foot, no worries. And just faster with everything at the end here. I'll play it again. Yeah, it's just slow at the end. Wing. Yeah, so have a, it's one thing that I say to people quite a lot, and that is rest your eyes. And that is really, really important to do, because you can't just keep looking at something without it starting to become, you start to miss things, and your eye tells you what you want to see when it's actually not what's actually happening. So it's a good idea to get a rest from it. So go away, look at something else, go for a walk, go get a coffee, do whatever. And then when you come back, you look at your work and you go, oh, someone's like edited these keyframes and they've put some really bad animation in there. That's not what happens. You actually did that. But now you've got fresh eyes and you can see the errors of your ways, and hopefully you're going to get better. So that's all I've got for you, Fricka. Let's have a look at one more. I want to do a walk. Buzzo, Simon Buzzo. I'm not sure whether Simon's here, but I'll do this one. And then, yeah, I won't be able to get to your other walk cycle E-Jack, but I'll do Buzzos. So where is our ending here? Find an ending. Okay, so it ends about there. Let's play this. He's done a great job. There's just a few things that we can fix to make this a little bit better. So let me change my grease pencil color back to be whatever it is. Where is my color gone? Because there is no layer. So let me do this. Now I've got it. Okay, we're on black, so that's good. So let's go at the start. I'm going to scrub through. Here's our contact frame. I'm looking at the foot here, and see how we've got a flat going on here. And then the next frame, it's almost flat again. So we've got in the walk cycle, that's going to stick, and it looks a little bit weird. So we just need to flop him down a little bit sooner. So get that foot flat sooner. But I do like how you're flopping it down over one frame. When you do flop down, bring your toes up, all right? And then flop them down. So make that toe bigger. So you can just see it's a tiny little bit there. Just adding a little bit extra height on that toe is really going to make it fluid, like flop, flop. And that's kind of the sound that I hear when I watch stuff like this, like flop, flop. All right, so next pose that I see, the up pose, his foot's really, really high. I just mentioned that we want to swing it through as low as possible, and we do want to avoid the knee pops, so sometimes we need to get a little bit of height. But if you lower this foot to somewhere about there, it's going to be a lot less stompy, like stomp, 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 stomp. It's going to help it out a lot. And you've got the same, on the left side and the right side, you're doing the same thing. So you've got that flat sticking for 2 frames. Boom. Let's look at this toe peel off. I like that up to this point here. So the way it's rolling onto the toe, this is a good example of, although there's a little bit, maybe you can lower the hips a little bit. See how he's got a straight leg here? You want to raise this heel. I don't think he's raising it too much, but you want to raise it just to get enough to get a tiny little bit of bend in the leg, so it's not going all the way straight. So that way it's going to make it easier. You're going a less distance from here to here. Does that make sense? That's where you're going to get a pop. So the way we usually do that is by raising the heel up, but he's raising it a good amount. So we just want to lower the whole top of the body a little bit, just a tiny little bit, just to give him a little bit more knee room. And then as it's coming off, so this frame is good, this frame is good, but here, as he pops off, no, too far. So what we want to do, keep this looking at the heel here. So here is our heel. We want to put the heel about here, all right? So rather than it going up, we want it to go forward, and we still want to rotate the toe back from where it came from. So it'll look something like, you saw my drawings. I'm better at drawing than this. I can never draw in Blender. It's always bad. All right, so we kind of want to go about there. That's going to help. And then swinging through, same problem, bring the leg lower, and then, so that's your feet problem. That's going to take care of a lot of it. Let's have a look at some of the owls. I think the way that the weight is coming down is a little bit too... I'm just looking at his hips, right? Just watching. Now I'm going to scrub through. I'm going to look at the weight of the hips. So I think he can come down a little bit sooner, but so bring your contact frame. It looks like your contact frame is the high point, so you need to move your high point a few frames earlier. So maybe you can just grab that Z curve and move it maybe 2 frames beforehand, and you're gonna want to be coming down on the contact frame, but not going down really, really fast. So you want to start coming down, and then when you get to the down, as the weight comes onto it, that's when you move him down faster, because the weight is going to push him down. But yeah, that's good. The rest, the arms are a little bit high, so you can probably just lower the height that they go in front. But yeah, the rest is looking pretty good. I think if you took care of the hips and the feet, you'll be able to then approach the rest of it with a little bit of a fresh eye, and you'll see a lot more of the problems. But good one, Buzzo. I'm loving your work. That's great. All right, so that's all the critiques that we're going to do today. Maybe we'll do some more in the future. But any final questions that we want to end on, Kent?
So we do have several questions left. We might need to just pick a few of them. So I think this one would be interesting for a lot of people. It's from Jack. They asked this in the community thread, right? And so it's about freelancing. He asks several questions about freelancing, and one that I'm sure goes through a lot of people's head is my current skill good enough for freelancing? So far, I'm only good at animating compared to other skills like rigging and modeling. Yeah. But how do I know when you're good enough? How do you know when you're good enough to freelance, I guess? It's
a scary thing. It's normal to be scared. I get scared. Everyone gets scared. But it depends on what the job is. When I was younger, I would say yes to things that I probably wasn't qualified for. And I mentioned that earlier. And I actually did get the job done. But when I look back now, I am not happy. Well, one, I look back and go, how the hell did I do that? And two, I'm not happy with the quality that it was. But that was the best I could do at the time. So now, being a little bit older, I don't know, would I try and specialize earlier? I probably would. I'll probably go, right, I'm not going to tackle a job where I'm going to be doing the rigging and the animation and the directing and do all those things. I would just do one job. So try and go, okay, I want to focus on animation and just do that. So if there's a job that comes up where all you are required to do is the animation, then yeah, just do that, say yes. But if you need to do the other areas where you're not quite that skilled at it, don't say yes until if it feels wrong. This is really wanky, but if it feels wrong in your heart, like, then say no. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say I'm not that good at it, because you don't want to let people down. Like, it's worse for you. You're going to feel really bad if you do the job and you fail. And I have had a couple of failures where you're just like, I shouldn't have done this, and this just did not work out. And I should have, in retrospect, I should have said no at the start. But as to knowing when you're ready, I don't know. It's a really difficult question, Jack. That's a really, really, really hard question. But I say back yourself, but don't be overconfident. Right. Mm-hmm. That didn't help you at all. I'm pretty sure that did not help. Sorry, Jack. I tried to help, but I don't think I did.
No, it's good advice. It's really hard to say that. And as far as getting nervous, I just responded to someone last night about a potential freelance job, and like I read through it so many times, and clicking the button is, I mean, I've done this for years, and you always are nervous in that way. Yeah, it's funny.
So I've kind of just this year I've started to say no to things for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think I have the skills to do it. I just say no. I'm like, sorry, I'd love to help you out, but I'm not that person for you. And two, I always try and find someone who I think I would get along working with, because that's really important to be able to do. You've got to be able to communicate with them well, and they've got to be it's going to sound weird. They've got to be sane. Like, I've done a couple of jobs where I'm working for crazy people, and you're just like, oh my God, these people are crazy. They don't understand anything, and they're just totally bananas. And they're the ones where I've spoken about where it's just been a total nightmare. And I have backed out of those ones eventually and just gone like, this is not working. I haven't said you're totally bananas. I can't work under these conditions, but yeah.
Right. So along with the freelancing line of thought, I'm going to try and ask a question that answers a few questions that we've gotten. But some of the technical things, like once you get over that hurdle of maybe thinking you're worthy of freelancing, like you were just talking about, what about some of the technical things, like how do you go about your rates? Do you do per hour, per week, per project?
Oh, okay. That's another difficult...
that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the rate, it depends. There's a couple ways that you can work. There's the per project, but if you are new, you don't know how long things are going to take you. So actually, this is something that you can probably start now. Do little projects for yourself, whatever they are, and record how much time that you're spending on them, and then try and set little goals. So go like, oh, I'm doing this little walk cycle or whatever. So I've got 4 hours to do it. Let's see if I can do it in 4 hours and see how good that I can make it. So you can practice specific animation tasks like actions and whatever, and you can get a sense of how long things are going to take you. And then when someone comes to you and maybe they have a script or maybe they don't have a script or anything, you've got a sense of, okay, the character's walking on here, he's going to be on screen for about 5 seconds, he's doing this, and then he's walking off. So you're like, okay, well, I think the walk cycle is going to take me about an hour to do, and then I can repeat that, so that's good. So maybe that first section is going to maybe take me 4 or 5 hours. Then the bit in the middle is going to, well, he's picking up a box. I'm just going to use the Melvin example, and eating it. So that's probably going to take about an hour and a half. And then he's walking off again. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to reuse the animation that I did from then and make some tiny tweaks to it. So that's probably only going to make add an hour to it. So if you've had enough practice and recording how long things take, then you can get a good estimate of how long it's going to be. And then you can go, well, this project is going to probably take me 10 hours to do. Here is my rate for that. As for working on a project base, then you could base that on your calculations. So you can go, well, it's going to take me 10 hours. That's going to be X amount of dollars. And then try and build in a buffer, because it's always going to take longer than you think. It's always the case. It's always going to be longer than you think. So build in a buffer. Some people say double it. Yeah, figuring out your project, your hourly rate. That depends on where you live. You can Google. There's a lot of ways to figure it out. Per like how many hours a week that you want to work, how many weeks in the year that you can work, how much money you need to live, and yada yada. You figure it out like that. But I just say don't go complicated. Back yourself on, okay, what job do you do now? You stack shelves at the supermarket, or you do whatever. So you just start at that rate, and then I'm a little bit better. I'm going to put my rate up in like 6 months. And then you go, I'm a bit better at my skills, and work up that way. Another way to do it is to do your project rates. The bigger the project, the more room that you're going to have for not knowing the correct amount of time that's going to take. So, yeah, short projects, add a little buffer. Big projects, add a bigger buffer. As to what it is, I don't know. I'm really, really bad with that, and I end up working for well under my rate.
That's good advice. Yeah, no, it's really good advice. It's another hard thing. Like, this isn't a perfect formula, but we know this is a big topic, and it's already on our list of streams to do. We'll have Wayne back, and we'll compile our experience, freelance, me and other people on the crew who have done freelance, and we'll try and talk about this very explicitly in another stream. But as we're running out of time here, I'm sorry. There's Phil. We don't have time to get to your questions. Simon, you asked one as well, but we're going to do this again. Here? I'm sure. Like,
is Phil Osterauer
and we'll be able
here?
to. Yeah, exactly. We'll start out next time to answer those questions.
Yeah, Phil's another one of those ones who works real hard. Good on you, Phil.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was just giving praise to Phil. That's just not important.
Okay. So the last thing that I was told to say to you is from John, and he said you knew what I was talking about. He has a question: how do you reflect on Bum Chin the musical?
Was John? Was he there? Was he the one who was there? I think so.
Seems like there's an inside joke.
Well, there was 10 years ago. Is it 10 years or maybe 11 years ago? I did a show in the comedy festival, the Melbourne Comedy Festival, called Bum Chin the Musical. Where I actually used Blender. I had Blender in as a projector thing. It was a really stupid musical. How do I look back at it? That was a really horrible time in my life. Not because of that, but because of things that I had a lot of fun doing that. Our venue was horrible, and it was hard. But I had a lot of personal issues at the time. That's when I just stopped. I don't know whether people know, but I stopped drinking because I'm an alcoholic. I've stopped. That was the time that I stopped, and it was the time that my long-term girlfriend left me, and it was just really, really, really bad. But 10 years later, things are great. I haven't drunk since. I haven't drunk any alcohol, and my life is good, man. Like, I'm doing animation. I'm having fun. I'm learning stuff every day, and I'm happily married to a different woman, one who appreciates me for being me.
My goodness. Wow, didn't expect that direction.
Sorry. Well, there you go. So Bum Chin the Musical was fun, but it was hard. It was hard, man. Thanks for coming. He was one of the only people in the world who came to see that.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I'm gonna have to ask you about some of that later. So I want to thank Wayne so much for being here, doing this for us. Being an instructor with CG Cookie, we've had comments in the chat, one of the best, if not the best, addition to the team and to the instructor caliber that we have as a website. So thank you for being involved with us. Thank you so much for the generosity in your comments and in your feedback to exercises that you're so on top of. It's a big inspiration to us. Realize we want to be more involved after seeing how involved Wayne is.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
No, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
very
everyone,
much,
for watching.
sir.
We'll try and do one of these again soon, and hopefully my internet won't break out. But thanks for sticking in there for when it did.